Little Thursday night football, Baltimore and Tampa Bay. Let's dive in. Hey, good morning, everyone. It's Craig Bennett, aka Cash Keg, here with another NFL Prize Picks video. We got Thursday night football on our hands, where we got the Baltimore Ravens going up against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Should be a good one. Tampa Bay really got to get going here. I can see Brady slinging the ball a ton, but we're going to go through each team like we usually do over here at Prize Picks, and we'll dive in and kind of find some plays that I really like. I've posted a bunch of plays over on Patreon if you want to check that out as well. Last week in week 12, man, we did really well. I'm sorry, not week 12. Week 7, we did really well. I think we ended up going 12-1 in the picks on Thursday and Sunday. I didn't play much on Monday with that Chicago Bears game, and it was a better game than I expected, but I just didn't play very much on that game. But if you want to check all that stuff out, it is in the Patreon link below, and we'll show you a few other things, some of the tools that we have built. But hey, if you like these videos, hit that like button for me, subscribe to the channel, it means a lot, and we'll just keep trying to knock these videos out and hopefully provide some value and some plays that you can kind of dig in or tail. So with that, let's dive right in. All right, as you can tell, we have the Prize Picks desktop version up here. You can download their sweet mobile app as well. And yeah, I have the Tampa Bay pulled up. We'll go through all the plays here and kind of talk about a few that I think we can kind of jump on. And then we'll also talk about the other side of the ball. But hey, if you want to check out a cool tool that we have both for Prize Picks and Underdog, you can come over in the Patreon streets. Again, for the price of lunch, you get this, and also the straight betting model for sides, totals, and all that jazz. But yeah, here's what it looks like. We got it for NBA, baseball, NHL, NFL, college football. This thing completely automates. It takes the line, it compares it all, it refreshes. It's 100% automated. You get that again in the Patreon streets, so you can check it out. So when they put a play up here, you will know if there's great value just on the line. Extremely fast, and it auto sorts to the top. So it's a really cool tool. If you want to check it out, again, you can sign up in the Patreon link below. So with that, let's just dive right into this real quick. But if you don't have an account at prizepicks.com, use that promo code DFSARMY and get 100% instant deposit match up to $100. Let's dive in. All right, Tom Brady. I think he's going to throw a ball a ton here. Now, I'm not sure I want his passing yards. If we look at what he's done this year, he's only went over this mark in 3 of 7 games, going over 280.5 passing yards. I don't love it. Josh Allen threw for 312 on him. Joe Burrow put 290 on him. So some good quarterbacks can throw some yards on him. I think I want more of the pass completions and the pass attempts, honestly. Pass completions, he's went over this mark in 4 of his last 5 games, 31, 39, 35, 25, and 32. I think he's going to throw the ball a ton. So I really like the pass completions. I really like the pass attempts, 42, 52, 52, 40, 49. So I think you can live with the pass attempts or the pass completions are where I want to sit with Brady. Could he go out there and throw 4 touchdowns? 100%. Could he go out there and stall and just not look great and to kick some field goals? Yeah, I can see that too. So I want to stay away from the yards. I want to stay away from fantasy score, and I want to live in this pass completions, pass attempts mark. So I'm going to take the attempts here, but again, pass completions, I like them as well. Again, 5 for 5 last 5 games of Brady. I think he's going to continue to throw a rock, even if there's running backs. So if we talk about running backs, Leonard Fournette, rushing yards, I think they're going to continue to split this a little bit with Fournette and White. So not something I want a ton in terms of rushing yards with him. I prefer more of the receptions for him. So if we kind of look at Leonard Fournette and kind of see, if we look at rushing yards, just even his rushing yards, he's had games where he did nothing. Carolina, where they lost last week, he only had 19 rushing yards. And they've done a real good job against running backs. Nick Chubb only ran 89 yards on them back last week. Saquon Barkley run 83 on them. Joe Mixon 68. So they've been pretty decent against the running backs. And if you're going to have a split backfield, I just don't want to touch it. Now, he can still do good out of the backfield reception-wise. Done really good at home this year. Green Bay, Leonard Fournette, we're talking about receiving yards, put up 35, Kansas City 57, Atlanta 83. So at home, he's done really well. 38 against Pitt. So he's went over this in 4 of his last 5 games. Now, he only saw 60% of the snaps last week, which, like I said, isn't great, but he can still get to that volume. He only saw, 60% of the snaps in the Atlanta game, and he put up 83 yards. So he can get there. So I do like the reception yards here. We're going to look at taking more of this. I'm fine with receptions as well. Like I said, I think the passing game's going to be there. In those games he went over, he had 5, 7, 10, and 6 receptions. Only 2 against Carolina, but that game was just so funky. So I like one of the 2 here if you're going to look at receptions or reception yards. That's what I'm looking at. I'm not going to touch the rush attempts. He only had 8 last week. He's only gone over this in 2 of the last 5 games. He's had 12, 3, 14, 21, and 8. So if I was going to do anything here with Leonard Fournette, I would lean the less than 13 rushing attempts for him, just with probably more of a split backfield with him and White coming out of there. That might be a little bit too high for him. So maybe we want to lean less for Leonard Fournette. Come down the receivers here. I prefer Godwin over Evans. I think Godwin has the better matchup against Williams, who's like bottom of the league corner. And as long as Godwin's going to be in the slot there, he should be able to do really well. So again, you could make a case for any one of them always. And that's what's tough with playing these guys is, if you pick Godwin today, maybe Evans goes off and vice versa. So I wouldn't put him in the same slip if you're going to build these out. But I do prefer Chris Godwin here at 70.5 reception or 70.5 receiving yards. I'm perfectly fine if you want to run, 6.5 receptions as well. I feel like he's going to get a lot of work. We're not going to have Gage out of there. So, tight ends, running backs, Godwin. I see a lot of that. He's only went over this in 1 of the 5 games he's played. So he's kind of due for this anyways. Amari Cooper put up 74 yards against him. Against Baltimore, Njoku put up 71. If we look at back before that, looks like Wanda Robinson 37. Yeah, the Giants aren't going to throw the ball a ton. Jamar Chase only 50 yards, but if we're going to throw the ball 50 times, I have no problem if you want to take one of these guys. Reception-wise, if you want to go that way, he said 7, 6, 6, and 7 reception yards. Kind of look at Mike Evans a little bit. He's had a little bit better success in yards-wise. 103, 81, 42, and 96 in his last 4 games. So if you want to lean that way, I'm just kind of looking more for, maybe they get Godwin involved just a little bit more here with the matchup that he does have. Brady's always studying film, so I'm going to kind of lean that way. But again, I'm fine with either side of it that you want to take. And I actually want to go back to the running back with Fournette, because I think I gave you the wrong stats in terms of what those running backs did. No, I did. Chubb 91, Barkley 83, Mixon 78. So no, I was right on that. Apologize. So let's come down to White. Again, I think he's going to play. If he's going to continue to play 30 to 40% of the snaps, you have to like what he's going to do. I think he's going to do more receiving than he's going to do rushing. Now, he only had 8 receiving yards last week. He played 43% of the snaps. He caught 1 ball. But I do think that you can look at reception yards because before that, for that really horrible game, he had 5, 3, and 3 receptions in those games, and he caught the ball for 50, 28, and 11 yards. So I do like taking more than receiving yards here, more than receptions is where I'm leaning. I do prefer Cade Otton, though. We're not going to have Braid out there. He's, going to catch the ball. He's going to run a bunch of routes. We saw him out there the last 3 weeks and have done really well. I mean, he's put up 43, 23, and 64 reception yards, playing 81% of the snaps last week. So we're going to continue to see a ton of that. Like you said, Njoku last week put up 71 yards against this team at the tight end position. Bellinger put up 38 yards against them the week before that with the Giants. So really, really like Cade Otton here a ton. I think we can take more than that. I know we got 4 plays up here because I do like the Tampa Bay side more than I do the other side. So I'm not going to really touch these other guys. If I was going to lean Ryan Suckup, I think you could lean kicking points are up to 7 now. I liked it at 6.5. I'm not sure I want to take that. If I'm looking at anything on the defensive side, I don't really want to take that as well. Looks like the projection changed in one of them. Looks like K. Dotton just keeps going up here. But I'm still fine with a 33.5. I'm still fine with that. Let's go over to the Ravens side real quick. Like you said, I'm going to be heavier on the Tampa Bay side than I am the Ravens. Ravens is basically Lamar Jackson, Andrews, Bateman. I just don't know what they're actually going to do every week. When it comes to Lamar Jackson, he's going to run, right? And if they get pressure on him, 60.5 yards seems like a ton, right? It's a ton, but he's put this up almost every time out there. If we look at this year, besides the game against the Jets, we're only put up 17, 119 against Miami, 107 against New England, 73 against Buffalo, 58 against Cincinnati, 77 against the Giants, and 59 against Cleveland. So ton of rushing yards here, something that we can kind of look at. If they continue to get to him, he has no problem scrambling. So this is one of the plays I do like. I don't really want to touch his passing yards, interceptions, completions. If I'm looking at anything, if you want to take anything Lamar Jackson, I am eyeballing the more than 60 rushing yards. Like I said, he almost got there in every game in the last 6. And if they continue to rush him, he's going to, no problem, get out there and running. If we kind of look at rush attempts for Lamar Jackson and seeing what he's done each and every week, he is, 9.5 is probably where the line should be. Over the last 5 weeks, he's put up 11, 12, 7, and 10. So he's went over that in 4 of the 5 weeks. So if that's another one, if you want to look at, don't think I'm touching pass attempts, fantasy score for him. Gus the Bus Edwards, man, if we're going to look at here, I don't mind taking the over rush yards. Now, it does say that he is questionable. I think he was going questionable in there last week. He ended up touching the ball, I think, 16 times for 66 rushing yards. So if we're going to see some of that volume, I don't mind that. Dante Foreman ran up for 118 yards against Tampa Bay last week. Let me say that again. Foreman ran 118 yards against them. Hubbard ran up 63. So definitely can be done. So I don't mind taking more than that one as well with Gus Edwards. That's where I'm kind of leaning. I don't want to touch Bateman. Edwards, if you wanted to look at him, Mark Andrews, if you want to look at him, he's always viable in the passing game. I mean, he gets a ton of targets. We all know that. Just kind of looking up and seeing some of his numbers that he has here over the year. Cleveland, just a stinker. But, before that, he put up 104, 89, only 15 in Buffalo, 89, 106. I just don't really want to touch it here. But, he's always due for, or always can hit a big game. Tucker, best kicker in the league. I don't think I'm going to touch anything there. But he's always good for kicking points, with what he can do. I think he missed his first field goal. Was it last week that he's missed in like forever? It was crazy, the streak he was on. But for kicking points, he's had over the last 6 games, 8, 7, 8, 13, 8, and 11. So I don't mind looking at that. Field goals made, 2, 4, 2, and 3. They don't have the field goals made up here, but that's something you can look at as well. They have no problem running him out there to kick field goals. And then I don't really have anything here. I was looking defensive wise. I think maybe you can take the under on Patrick McQueen tackles and assists. That was the only one that kind of stood out a little bit. He's had under this mark in each of his last 5 games, 5, 5, 5, 7, and 7. So if I was going to take any of these down in defense, I would take the under 7.5 for tackles and assists. So that's what I'm kind of leaning at here. Again, more Tampa Bay heavy for me when it comes to building these slips out. Only a few on the other side. I think Tampa Bay is going to come out here. Brady's going to sling the ball a lot. That's how I've seen the game script going. And when you build these out, you got to build them out how you think the game script is going. Keep that in mind, especially if you're playing more than 2-man power plays and you're playing like the 5-man flex. You really have to correlate these plays in a single game like this, because it's a lot harder in a single game like this. So with that, again, I appreciate each and every one of you guys. Hit that like button on your way out if you don't mind. And again, if you want to check out this Prizepicks tool or the underdog that we have with the sports that we have, we're continuing to add. We're going to add soccer here coming up as well, and just continue to add all the sports to that. And again, appreciate each and every one of you guys. I will see you guys on the flip side. Deuces.